Welcome back to Sisterhood Time, our lovely Sunday chat vlog where we want to encourage other women out there all over the world, whether you be from Africa, Zambia, Philippines, Canada, Egypt, that's still Africa, right? Korea, North and South, Canada,
We
US.
don't
Okay.
discriminate. Yeah,
We
everybody.
don't know. Everyone matters. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Okay,
Yes,
guys,
Lord.
remember
Amen.
that. All right. And today we have an amazing one of my sisters growing up, and a fellow mother close to my heart. She is such a positive, bubbly, a very
Bubbly
humorous
sometimes.
person. But she's like bubbly. That's
Optimistic.
more optimistic but funny. Woman of God. And she has such an amazing topic that can, like, going a testimony that she's going through right now that can help many pregnant women around the world. Because right now, Mariz, she's pregnant through COVID-19. So Mariz, let's get it started. How are you?
Thank you for the intro.
You're welcome, my dear.
That's
And how's
a bit
it being
crazy. Being pregnant was interesting. It was definitely different from the first time, aside from the whole corona thing, but also the experience. You know, they say it's different every time, and they're absolutely right. So basically the first, see, I'm losing my breath already. I just started talking.
baby?
I'm leaning into third trimester, guys, so bear with me. I'm almost there.
Yay.
But basically, we kind of planned it, but we didn't plan corona, just like any other, I don't know, hardship in life. No one plans a hardship, right? But it's kind of like, I mean, you don't have to be pregnant to feel the anxiety of corona. To be honest, you don't have to be pregnant.
Yeah.
And I find like it is such like a roller coaster going through this whole pandemic, because first of all, initially, you know, you don't really know what's going on. You don't know what numbers people are spilling out, and you have to be careful. I mean, you can pray to God, which is, we all do that, but you also got to be smart. You're not going to like go to the hospital with the COVID cases and be like, you know, try not to get COVID. That's God give you a brain also.
Yeah.
But
Wisdom.
yes, but it's like a crazy ride, especially working too. And I find, like, you know, pressures, actually work is really hard here right now. And we're just so blessed that our family, like I told you, Daph, like we still have a job, which is, you know, it's like a good thing right now. And we don't really have to worry about like finances, to be honest. And that's, thank you God, you know, because it's such a hard time for everybody. But yeah, the feeling of the whole corona thing, like everybody should be able to understand. You don't have to be pregnant to feel the anxiety of corona. You really don't.
Yeah.
And to the point where I actually was like, I think my last appointment with my family doctor, I was like freaking out on her. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I think they're gonna open, like, you know, like our workplace, like you're not gonna work from home anymore, that kind of thing. And she's like, you need to calm down.
Just relax.
Yeah, take a chill.
And I was like, wait a second. I'm not really the person who gets, like, I get anxiety, but not really. Like I could easily, I'm very much like, if I tell myself like, stop, that's crazy, I would just stop thinking about it. Not everybody could do that, I understand, but that really helped with the doctor. And my family doctor was pregnant too, and she's like even way ahead of me. And she's Egyptian. She's taking no crap from anybody. Okay. She's like, like,
Wait,
because,
Mariz, can we just see your baby bump? Can I see your baby bump? Okay, I miss it.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
It's there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
So basically my idea, of going to the doctor was honestly like, oh my God, I don't want to work anymore, write me a sick leave or something like that. But she, like, how are you going to do it? how are you going to ask your doctor if your doctor sees patients every single day and she's like almost giving birth? You know what I mean? So she was sort of my encouragement. So I'll just say God put her there to encourage me, be like, what are you thinking? You know what I mean? Because sometimes you feel like you have so much pressure. And first of all, she's like, stop stressing about, what did she say? Like anticipation. Like all these things you're thinking about hasn't even happened yet. You know, because she's like, when is your work opening? When is this happening? I'm like, I don't know. I have no date, you know, which is, they're going to do it soon. She's like, listen, you know, all this information that you're being fed, like, just stop. She's like, all the information about this whole corona thing, like, I even told myself, like, she was talking about it. She's like, I don't check my work emails because I guess they get like stats all the time because she's a doctor. She's like, I don't check my work email past 8, so I don't think about it.
That's good. Yeah.
And she's like, just don't look at the news if it's like stressing you out. And honestly, I wasn't. I was just thinking it to myself. So I feel like she's saying, you know, just be aware of the information that you put in your brain, because, you know, we do have a lot of information around, and it's like the era where you could get information in like 2 seconds. Okay, we get like live stats, and that's never really happened before. Like pandemics have happened all the time, but this has been like the quickest we get information. And I mean, the fact that we could, you know, we're from everywhere and we could have this video call is insane. It's never happened. And basically she's like, just be aware of the information and don't stress out because you're like anticipating something that hasn't happened yet. And for me, that was like a switch. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I'm never really that type of person. But at the same time, it happens to everybody. Most of the time when we're like afraid, we're just like, the things we're afraid of hasn't even happened. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was a turning point for me as a pregnant person in this whole pandemic. And that was I halfway already? I don't even know, like almost halfway to my pregnancy, because right now I'm a little bit over halfway. But yeah, that helped a lot. But before that, it's a lot of roller coasters. It's like, oh, this pandemic is fine, and then afterwards you're like, oh my God, we're gonna die.
From one end to the other.
There's no middle ground with this pandemic. It's extreme. It's either I don't know if you guys noticed, like everybody's sort of like either extremely with their like PPE, they have the shield, the mask, everything, or people don't have any. Like I feel like it's either people take it super seriously or like, oh, it's just a flu, you know. Like, yes, it might be just a flu, but there's no vaccine. Okay.
And you're giving birth. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's such a good. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go on.
No, I thought that's such a good. This is great. That's such a good advice, you know, like especially mothers, right? Because you care so much for your child, like you become selfless. Like all you think about is like taking care of your child. So you're always thinking ahead, right? Like thinking of like worrying ahead. But that's such a good advice, like. And it's also in the Bible, right? Do not worry about tomorrow. Like it's not going to bring 1 extra hour of our lives by worrying. So yeah, it's like, don't worry about things that we don't even see yet. Like, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's how we've been surviving.
No, that's amazing. And it seems like it honestly felt like God was just speaking right through your doctor, right? And instantly that kind of calmed you. But no, I'm more interested in how was it when is Zoe living with you, right? I mean, not living with you, like she's obviously living with you.
No, she's in the backyard actually.
She's in your washroom, your closet.
No, but I mean, but now she's at home daily, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how has that been, having to work transition to working at home and then also having a kid, right? And I'm sure Daphne can comment on this too, being a mom, right? Just
I want to hear Mariz. This is Mariz's day. Okay, Mariz,
Well,
go.
let me tell you, work hasn't been easy. Work is just, my workplace is just a little bit crazy. Like, we've never done work from home. They never really like encouraged it. So aside from work pressure and like our boss being like really like onto us, because they're just very like, sorry Jesus, micromanagers. Basically, no, but it's
You're
like,
pregnant, you're allowed.
like, leave me alone a little bit, you know? But it's really, no, but it's like the pressure from work is like a lot different from before. Like, I honestly miss it, like how it was before, not now, how it was before. And basically adding a child to that is even like crazy. I think it was only one day where I tried taking care of her in the morning. And by the way, just for everybody's information, I'm a designer, so you constantly have to think of concepts all of the time. And yeah, my husband, like Emmanuel, always like sort of worked and took care of Zoe here and there, like before when he would work from home. And I'm like, oh, that shouldn't be so bad. First of all, his job is mostly like call center, so he's like managing people. So he's just on calls here and there answering questions. And I think that's how he could do it. But for me, I had to actually finish things on a deadline. So there was one time I took care of her and I was like, this is not working out for me. So
Not
I could not finish like a lot of stuff at all, because you know, toddlers are everywhere. Like, their brains are everywhere. They're interested about everything. So first of all the things around me, my sketchbook, my my pens, everything is like, mom, color. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I know that look, sure. Take it. You have to choose.
Yeah, see, I mean, you know, motherhood and being a parent teaches you a lot of things. And like, you know, even before being a mom, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. And now my mom's like, take it all. Take it
just do
all.
whatever.
And stay in the corner.
Yeah. Is it okay to tie them? No, we don't tie our kids
No.
We don't, but you could just like, you know, whatever gets your attention for at least like even 1 minute is fine.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good.
It's so true.
Sticker book, okay, stick it on the wall.
Before we cared about our walls, now it's like, okay, you can use it, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, you're just more lax about those things, but basically it was really hard. It was a tough transition. Now we're sort of okay. At the beginning, we were still able to drop off Zoe to Inai, which is Emmanuel's grandmother. She was in daycare part-time beforehand, but as soon as this whole thing happened, we're like, yeah, we can't do it. So we canceled daycare, and then we just sort of put her with Inai. But then Emmanuel's dad works at a old folks home that's run by the government or something, and they have cases. And so our solution to that was that basically his mom was like, oh, we can't, maybe Zoe shouldn't come anymore or something like that. And basically the solution to it is that since Inai is living with them, she's basically transitioned to live with us for a little bit right now. And it's like, you know, helping her and helping us. So basically she watches Zoe in the morning. Emmanuel sort of helps her out too, but she like naps for so long. Thank you, Jesus. Small wins, okay? But she naps for like, you know, like 3-4 hours sometimes.
Nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Daph, yeah.
I wish it was 8, but just kidding.
It's okay, you get that at night. You know what? She's like not so bad as a sleeper.
Yeah.
So I'm just starting to speak this thing over next baby, because you know I'm praying for the same sort of like sleep habits. But we've never really had a hard time like with Zoe and her sleep. So I think that's one of the pluses. So basically, you know, God tests you with other things, but you know, gives you wins in other things. Like you get like a balance. But yeah, and he's able to live with us for now, and yeah, that's how we've been resolving it. I know not everybody has the luxury of having someone help you take care of them, but we've been very blessed that she's able to stay with us, and I'm sure she's blessed that she's here too, because she absolutely is like freaking out about this virus.
So
like it's like even worse. But it's because no, but it's because I find with like seniors and stuff, they always just freak out about their like it's a little bit different this time around, you know. Like I find we have a lot more information. You're sort of like told to calm down and like breathing things and like just not accept all the things that's like said on the internet. But they don't process information like that. So for her, she's like, "Oh my God, there's so many cases in your dad's work." Like to Emmanuel, we're like,
you gotta honor respect, you know? That's true.
I mean, you can't do anything, right? Like you can only do so much about what, like, you know, about yourself. You can't do something about someone else, really. I mean, like with how they think and process information, you could help them, but unless they want help, nothing's gonna happen. That's what I think, at least. So yeah, that's how we survive.
Yeah, I think that's really a good thing that you brought up. Was we don't see how much the pandemic has like impacted like a mother, the parents, you know. They have to like adjust like all the daycares and who's going to take care of my kid and how am I going to work and how am I going to deal with that. Like we don't see that as like single people. Like, do you know what I mean? Like me and Shireen. But you would, yeah, it's like so many people in the world are going through that right now. So my question for you, or my topic, I guess, as a pregnant mother during pandemic, you were saying how you pray that over your baby, like to have good sleeping habits. Like what other kinds of prayers do you pray over your baby, or would you encourage like mothers, and do you believe like prayers over the baby like actually really help? Like like you know,
I believe
yes, right?
Let me tell you.
I don't think you're crazy, Mariz. It's a good thing.
I'm definitely not crazy, but okay. First of all, my first pregnancy, I learned about this thing called hypnobirthing, which is essentially like learning. I know it sounds crazy and like really loopy, but it's not. I think it's kind of like parallel to like how we're told, you know, words, you know, mean things, and it's like an encouragement. You know, we really believe in like what's spoken, right?
Yeah, it brings life or death, right?
Exactly. That's what we've always grown up with.
Exactly.
So with hypnobirthing, it's like allowing your body to like, you know, like having like affirmations. Like you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm gonna give birth like naturally" and stuff like. I know it's really like really weird.
Like speak it over your life.
But if you think about it, that's how we're sort of told, right? Like we're told, oh, you pray and you sort of speak over. It's the exact same thing. And I'm like, wait a second, this is how like, you know, people who are, you don't have to be Christian, but God has given you the words in the mouth to speak things over anything, right? So you do it for your birth. And I think actually that's why even if like my birthing experience last time turned into like a C-section, I honestly was like, oh, it was a great experience. I felt zero pain, which is exactly what I prayed for. Like stuff like that, because I've always like spoken things, like positive things, like about, I don't know, it's just getting into this positive zone that I've never really had ever until I was pregnant. But I mean, you don't have to be pregnant to do it.
Exactly. We all can do it.
Your daily, you don't have to be pregnant. You don't have to be a mother. You could literally just be anybody. But it's one of those things that like you say like in the morning, whenever you have time, whenever throughout the day, where you're just like staying positive and speaking positivity towards your whole universe, basically. So it's like, for me, it is very important because I honestly really believe in encouragement. I believe in, you know, just speaking over. When you speak over, it sort of manifests. That's how I believe it. And honestly, you don't have to be Christian. If you speak, it will happen. Like you ask anybody who's been like successful, or you don't have to be successful, like, honestly.
Yeah, I totally
It's
agree
not,
with
I
that,
mean,
Mariz.
successful is
Yeah,
like,
what is
yeah,
success,
subject.
you know?
Yeah,
Like, what
like,
is
yeah.
it's like,
successful?
you could be a
Yeah.
bajillionaire or a non-bajillionaire, whatever.
Mhm.
If you speak like positivity, it immediately changes the mood. It's like, you know, when they say, when you're having, like, you spill coffee in the morning and you're like, oh, there goes my day, my day's ruined, it's gonna be a bad day today. Of
Yeah,
course
you're
you're gonna have a
speaking
bad
that.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're speaking it over
Yeah.
your life,
You
your
already
day.
spoke it. So every little thing
Yeah.
that's terrible, you're gonna be like, oh, it's because it's gonna be a bad day today. Like, that's terrible,
Yeah.
right? But if you spill some milk, you spill some coffee, and you're like, oh, I just spilled it.
I'm
The
human.
next time
I
you
love
trip or
it.
something,
You know,
you're not
like,
gonna be like, oh, it's because my day was supposed to be ruined. No, you're just like,
yeah.
oh,
Oh,
my bad.
Yeah.
for me, it's like, oh, some excitement, you know, just like another, you can move forward from that with a positive, with like a positive attitude.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's not absolutely easy because, you know, sometimes things hit the fan and it's not the very pleasant day. And honestly, it's so funny. Like, right before this conversation, work on Friday was like terrible, super terrible. But I mean, now, like, obviously, thank God it was a Friday. So then it's the
Yeah.
weekend, so you get a break from work, right?
Yeah.
But, like, honestly, just like speaking over everything, like, for me with my baby, that's very important for right now, also for me and my birth experience, and like just getting this baby out. Like, I'm just speaking that it'll be a great experience regardless of whatever we plan, because you don't really plan, if you know
Yeah,
what I mean. Like, you can only plan so much,
exactly. Yeah.
especially with birth. And I think that's also why I was sort of like okay last time. It's because I wasn't one of those moms. I know some moms really plan, they have like a crazy birth plan where it's like so detailed, be like, I'm gonna give this sort
This,
of
this,
birth
yeah.
vaginally, and it's gonna be like, I'm not gonna take
Yeah.
epidural, I'm not gonna be. And then
Yeah.
if you set this sort of expectation, which is great, if it doesn't happen, then it's like this baby comes and then you're just disappointed because you didn't get the experience you wanted. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But that goes for anything. Like, if you set, like, expectations are good, goals are great, but also, like, you know, you just wish for the best also. Like, you could only
I
plan
agree.
so much, right?
Yeah, like you have to
Yeah.
also be open to maybe changes, what God
Yes.
surprises God's gonna do. I'm
You
trying
don't
to
know what
find
God's
that
gonna tell
verse.
you tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Like Janice always says, God willing. Like she just learned about the word God
Yeah.
willing. You want to
Yeah.
talk about that,
I
Janice?
literally, yeah, I literally, it was like once the pandemic hit, like, you
Like
know,
January, I
like
think.
I don't plan, like I'm not a planner. I'm just like a chill, whatever, like go with the flow. But it's like some things I kind of want to plan, like, oh, I want to go for dinner tonight or something, like that kind
Right.
of planning. Like not long goals, but still, even that is because of the pandemic. It's like I can't. There's no restaurants open, right?
I
Like
know.
you can't go out for dinner. But even like going somewhere or planning to do this or planning to do that, or I want it to go this way in a month, in a day, in a week, in a year. But it's like, no, literally everything can just be stopped in a second. Like a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic just hit,
Oh
stopped
yeah.
the world in an instant. Everyone's plans just stopped, right? It's like, yes, we can plan to a certain like extent or whatever, but it's like
Yeah.
in the end, God's will always like prevail,
Of
right? And
course. Yeah.
so for us, it's like now when I say something, every single thing, God willing, Lord willing, God willing,
Yeah.
like it's not in our
Exactly.
it's not in our plan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I can say, okay, we're gonna meet next week,
Yeah.
but it's like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, you know, we don't know where we're gonna be.
It's
We don't know
true.
what's gonna happen with the internet,
Yeah.
like things like that. So it's always like if it's God's will, God willing, like, and we just leave it in his hands and he will take perfect control, you know?
It's true.
And so even with the pregnancy, it's like we give it in all into God's hands, you know? He will make the perfect will happen. Like, we don't have to worry. Just like you said, like the news and all these things, it's in an instant. That's why everyone's filled with anxiety, because they're constantly seeing all these updates and feeds and all these things.
Exactly.
But it's like, it doesn't make our lives any better in any way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I was just
go
ahead, Janice.
no,
No, I was
just leave
gonna
it
say
to God. That's it.
amen. 1000% agree. I just wanna, I was looking for the verse Mariz was sharing about in that
Yeah.
relates to like the Bible. So Proverbs 18:21, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. So I guess it's kind of like also allowing, so the news, sometimes it's all negative. I wish there was something good, like, oh, mother gave birth, healthy baby child. Like,
I think there's some that came out
there
this
are
time
some.
around.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. But it would be like 80%, like like this many people died, and then like positive is rarely seen. So that's why people are scared too, right? So I think like surrounding yourself with people like Mariz, Janice, Shireen, who remind you like I think in your life, Mariz, do you have people that are like that like calm you, soothe you, give you encouragement when if there's negativity or something?
I don't know, actually. Isn't that funny? Like, I think not to the extent that maybe I would, like, everybody sort of has like their gift. That would be, I guess, maybe Emmanuel. But also, like, I feel like I've always just been that type of person. Like, sometimes my parents,
guys,
maybe you're the person for everyone around you.
No, she
I think
is.
I am like that. Like, I know even my parents would sometimes say something like, oh, this is an example. I don't know. Sorry, mom and dad. Am I supposed to share? Okay, anyway. The point is, like, my dad would be like, oh, was it something about, like, I forgot, like, politicians or something. It's like, oh, but these people are, or it's just something about work, maybe, like, oh, but they're still not, they're okay, but they're still not, like, giving money or something. Someone got a raise, something like that, something finance related. And I was like, why are you complaining about that stuff? Like, God blessed you so much. You should be at the point in your life where you should be the one giving money. No, but what I'm saying is that,
so
like,
good.
what I'm trying to say is that sometimes God has lifted you already from, like, you know, because my dad wasn't really well off, especially at the beginning. He was like poor.
I think
poor,
all our
poor
parents, they came,
No, but my dad was like legit, like, dollar day kid, like those ones you would see on the
dollar day. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
We love you, Tita
You know,
Louie. We love you.
You see, so what I'm saying is that he was really poor. But what I'm saying is that I'm like, God has lifted you so much. Like, why are you expecting, say, financial something from someone when, like, maybe it should be you doing that to someone else? You know, God has blessed you so much already. You don't really have to worry about, I mean, everybody's got bills, okay? But what I'm saying is you don't have to worry about it like how you used to when you were a kid. God has already lifted you from that, which is absolutely nothing, to something, when so many people already spoke so many negativity towards his life, and God has actually turned it around to the point where they're now the ones that's like being humbled, like those people who spoke badly about him and like spoke all these like, oh, you'll never get there, you know. But no, because my grandma always broke it, and I think that's also why we're very much like, here's Zoe, sorry.
No, I want, is she awake?
She's yelling.
I can't hear her.
That's what I was like,
Can't hear her.
Sorry. But anyway, my grandma, I think it was probably from her, my dad's mom. Basically, she's always an encourager, and she's always one to be like, don't say anything bad about anybody, because you don't know how this world is going to be like later on. So every time I feel like, you know, like they would be like, oh, you'll never go abroad, like to my dad long time ago. My grandma would be like, don't say that, you're going to go abroad. Like, don't believe it, kind of thing. So I feel like I learned a lot from that, and my dad telling us those stories. And I feel like that's sort of how my parents has sort of shaped us. Like, we always believed in the power of your words. Because as soon as you speak it, it's done. Like God spoke and it was done, right? It's the same thing because we're in the likeness of God. So if you speak, it's done.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just saying, like, that's why I feel like I'm the encourager. And I feel like as a mom, I learned that I was that, and that's probably like my gift or whatever.
Awesome.
And I think like what you're talking about your parents, it's not just your parents. I think what you're coming from is that just people in general. Not you're just giving an example of your parents, but this is people in general. It's like we should not be constantly looking at other people's lives, right? And what they're doing and what they're not doing and all these things, but see what God has done for us and how we can help with our lives, right? Like how can we give back to the kingdom? How can we help another? How can we do the things that everyone else is not doing when they should be, right?
Yeah.
So that's like the way that you're encouraging is like the people around you is like, yeah, let's take a look at ourselves, like, you know, let's do like that kind of stuff. And I
because
think
a lot of things just like really start from you, like, you know, thinking it, right? So I feel like a lot of things, especially as a mom, like you see it even more because you see it with your kids, like everything is perspective, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if just like how you would start your day, if you're already thinking that it's bad, that's your perspective of how your day is going to be. I don't think it's going to be bad, so that's my perspective of my day. So I'm going to have a better day than you because of like how you thought how your day was going to be.
And that's just it.
I mean, that's just the law. You know,
it's facts, okay?
It's God's promise. Yeah,
but try it.
Yeah.
If you think you're gonna have a bad
so
day,
good.
just think it's gonna be a great day, and then you'll see
exactly.
Yeah.
Compared to a day where you think it's gonna be a really bad day, then you know you'll see the big difference of how your whole day is gonna be like. And it's honestly that thought that you have, only the one thought, which is so funny because thinking is so quick too, but that thought and that decision that you have already makes like this big difference of how your day, how your life, how your world's gonna be, you know. And one of the things that I'd like to share too is, especially as a mom or even an aunt or ninangs or whatever, what I learned too as a mom is that it's a really important thing how everything is sort of like webbed together, and how God sort of placed us to sort of, you know, work together as humans. This is how this pandemic also started. We're webbed together, and I think we're realizing that more. But one of the things that I really learned is how you and your experience immediately affects, like, say for me, would affect my kid. So basically when Zoe was a baby, it's like I learned to be calm, to make sure that she's calm, because as soon as I start freaking out, she won't have a great day. And I feel like it's the energy that you feed the people around you, right?
Oh, that's good.
So
yeah.
I find
take
that
as
no,
Thank
but
you.
try it.
You touched my life.
Try it, Daph. Try
Okay,
it,
yeah.
Daph. I
So good.
was telling this to Micah too. I'm like, because there was one time she was at sorry, Mike, I'm gonna talk about you for a second. No, there was this
We love you,
one
Micah.
time where I don't know, she was like really freaking out, I guess, and because she was at my sister's baby shower and she was by herself, and of course baby was there too. Lexi was there, and she was like, "Yeah," I'm like, "It's okay, just calm down. When you're calm, baby will be calm." And then that's why Lexi loves me.
And it happened. Yeah.
And it happened. That's just
That's
I
so
don't see her
good.
often, but she's been really good. But what I'm saying is that, like, babies, even though like people think babies like don't really like, you know, but
they feel everything.
babies feel, and babies know. First of all,
Yeah.
if babies don't know, they won't cry to call for like milk or something. Okay, babies are so smart, but at the same time, I mean, God, I pray for the similar experience or whatever. But my theory is, honestly, we all feed from each other's energy as we are right now. So think about it with like kids, or, you know, with baby, right? So if you're calm, people around you will be calm. So if you're happy, at least you'll sort of have that energy towards, like, for everybody else too.
Amazing.
Amen, sister.
Mariz,
Yeah,
we love
amen.
you.
we're
Yeah.
over,
Okay, I
but
think
time,
time's
but
up.
yeah,
Time. Okay.
Sorry,
discussion was
sorry.
good. So
Just cut it. Just cut it. Just cut it.
No. I can
I mean,
listen
we
to
don't
you
cut
for
nothing.
hours.
Yeah. So
Live.
basically,
But
we always
it's
end.
important.
It was. We're not gonna cut any of it. We don't cut any of it. So we always end with a prayer. So would you be able to pray for, I guess, the mothers and for women, anyone, anything we talked about, anything that comes to your heart, like not to have fear, speak the words, whatever comes to your heart. Would you be able to pray for us?
Okay. Let's see. Okay, God. Let's talk. God, we just pray.
Let's talk.
That's how I pray. Okay.
I love it
Love
so much.
I'm taking that. I'm stealing that.
Yes.
Okay, Jesus. Okay. By the way, sorry. Zoe says, "Thank you, Jesus." Now every time I go to bed, I'm like, "Thank you, Jesus." She's like, "Thank you, Jesus." I was like,
And you're like, thank you, Jesus. Amen. You're going to bed.
Go to sleep.
Thank you, Jesus.
oh, mom life. Okay, so God, we just thank you so much for this day. We thank you for this discussion. We thank you for this just good vibes, God. And Lord, we just pray that this vibe that we sort of have, this calm, this just mindfulness about the world, Lord God, I pray that it just spreads out to everybody who's sort of, who's watching this and who is interested. And even if they're not interested, God, just speak to them, because you're just the one that's there, basically. And in this time where so much fear is all around us and so much fear has been built, Father, give us that knowledge and wisdom to just know whether or not we should accept it, know whether or not we should take the information in or not, and just be with us, Lord God. Give us, just encouragement and the strength to really go through this whole pandemic, whether we are moms who are worrying, whether we are just single people, and just for everybody just to be encouraged and not worried, and mainly just give us the calm and your peace, which really, really helps guide us through, just navigating through this whole thing. And Lord, we just pray that your spirit will always just be with us. Just give us, honestly, the knowledge and the wisdom to know which information to take and which isn't, because that's very important. And know when to take it, because it's not something that we should do all the time. I mean, and we just thank you, Lord God, for your guidance. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mariz. I'm feeling the calm. Thank you. We love you.
Thank you so much.
I am so much about find my calm, just be my calm. You guys will see. When you're a mom, it's like calm next level. Right?